let us continue with the topic. Now, we will discuss about ethical and moral autonomy and the theories regarding that. Right now, you have to focus on these theories. Right, these are the HR concepts what we deal regularly. Right now, before going to the theories, now let us discuss the definition of ethical and moral autonomy. Now, ethical and moral autonomy is the capacity to deliberate and to give oneself the moral law rather than merely heeding the instructions of others. Now, this is the exact definition, right? And this moral autonomy or your ethical autonomy can be constructed as the aim of all moral and ethical deliberations and inquiry. Right now, I'll write down the crux point there. Let us write the definition of this here. Ethical or your moral autonomy is the capacity to deliberate. Right, I'll write down the crux point. Capacity to deliberate. Right, and to give oneself definitions are very important, so that's why I'm writing the things, right? And to give oneself the moral law rather than heeding the instruction. Heeding means not hearing to the instructions rather than heeding to instructions. Now see, I'll explain with an example, so that's why you can understand it very clearly. Right now, what this definition exactly says you, right? It says you for the internalization of moral code in order to have minimum external regulations means you have to be more on your conscience and you must not depend more on the external regulations. Now this is nothing but your moral or ethical autonomy. Example, see here, following your traffic rules. Right now, see here, there is no need to follow the orders if you behave on your ethical and moral autonomy by going in a correct way. Is there any need to follow the external regulations? Now you are losing your ethical and moral autonomy, so that's why in that place the instructions are coming. When you pass on the road, when you jump a signal, you will be fined. That these are the instructions when you cross your ethical or moral autonomy. Now this is the crux of the definition, right? Now you got the point clearly, right? Now this ethical or moral autonomy definition is given by first Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant. Now, this moral autonomy deals with psychological developments of an individual to a state of self-awareness. Now, see here, the example itself says crossing the traffic signals and not following the rules is nothing but your development, not development of your psychological development. Am I right or wrong? Not increasing your psychological development, right? It focuses on psychological development. Now this is the crux point, right? I'll write down this psychological development. Now this ethical or moral autonomy is explained with three theories. One is Lawrence Kohlberg theory. I will explain this, right. The first theory is Lawrence Kohlberg Kohlberg theory, right? So I've written the spelling mistake, right? Kohlberg theory. Let us discuss this Lawrence Kohlberg theory in detail. Now, what this theory says: Kohlberg developed a theory of psychological development, right? See here, our main focus is in this. He proposed that people progress in moral reasoning based on their ethical behavior, right? Now, see here, I'll write down the crux point here. People progress in moral reasoning now. These are general concepts but explained by eminence, right? Reasoning based on their ethical behavior. Right? Got the point? Now, his theory is based on a premise that younger children throughout their growing period act as adults as they make judgments based upon consequences, whereas older people make judgments based on their intuitions. Right? Now see here, he proposed two premises. Premises means basis of this theory. Now, what are the basis of this theories? Right? Childrens make judgments. Childrens make judgments based on the consequences. Now, based on the consequences happened, right? Now, adults make judgments based on intuitions. Got the point? And again, he postulated 6 stages of development, and these are grouped into pre-conventional level, conventional level, and post-conventional level. Right? Now see here, I will explain this levels and then we will go to this crux point, then you can get a clear explanation of this, right? Now, he explained his theory in 3 levels, in 6 stages of development, and these 6 stages of development are grouped into 3 levels. Now, see here, I will write down the things here. Levels of moral development. Now, if you can understand this chart, then you can understand theory very well. Right? The first one is pre-conventional level. Now they are grouped into pre-conventional level. Second one is convention level. And the third one is post-convention level. Right? Now, what does this happens in pre-convention level? Right? There will be 2 stages in pre-convention level. One is avoiding punishment. The stage 2 is self-interest. Right? Now see here, this normally happens in where? In the children, right? You don't punish when they do anything wrong. You correct them. That is the thing happening here. Right? And see here, you will correct them in the stage 2 called self-interest. Now what happens in convention level? Right? You used to get listening to the people, right? And then you start maintain the functioning of society and how it happens, right? Now this is the convention level. Now post convention level, this is nothing but rejecting the rigidity of laws or having your sense of justice. Now these are two things. Now there is nothing but your hero and villain status. One who follows rules and laws becomes a hero, and automatically who goes against the law will be a villain, right? Now this is what explaining by Kohler theory, right? Got the point, right? Now see here, I'll write down the things here. Now pre-convention level, there will be two stages here. Now one stage you avoid punishment, avoid punishing. Now in the second stage, stage 2, what you do is you look upon the self-interest, right? In the convention level, you observe the surroundings and your society, right? And in post convention level, either you follow the rules or you go against the rules, right? Now this is what Kohler is explaining. Now see here, what is your pre-conventional level, right? This is nothing but your child stage. You don't know whether which is good or right? Now see here, that is what your intuitions is explained in adults. What is intuitions now? Now you got the question there. Ability to understand. Intuitions is nothing but ability to understand. Now see here, when this intuition level will come, it is nothing but post convention level. Now see here, you got an intuition to ability to understand the surroundings and also about the rules, right? Now upon that your behavior will be dependent. Now this is clearly explained by Lawrence Kohlberg theory, right? Now let us go to the next theory, which is nothing but Carol Gilligan's theory. Carol's Gilligan theory. Now what is this Carol's Gilligan theory? Now this Gilligan criticized Kohler theory as it is being highly influenced by male thinking process and less relevant to female thinking process. Now this automatically you can observe this Carol Gilligan is nothing but a female, right? Now see here, this Carol Gilligan have criticized Kohlberg as it is pro male, right? Now again she changed the theory and she defines levels of thinking in two ways. One is care based morality and one is justice based morality. Now care based morality will be mostly found in females and justice based morality will be mostly found in men, right? Now this is what she is explaining. Two levels of thinking. One is care based morality, and you observe this care based morality in mostly females, and you observe justice based morality in males, right? Now this is what she is explaining, and again she is explaining the terminology as same level of Kohlberg, right? Now again she is also explaining the levels of development as pre-conventional, conventional and post-conventional, right? Now see here how she is explaining these levels of development. Levels of moral development. Again, this is also pre-conventional level. Next one is conventional level. The last one is post-conventional level. Right. Now, what she is explaining in pre-conventional level. Now, care for oneself to ensure survival. And in convention level, she is explaining about responsibility and care for others. Right. And in post convention level, she is explaining about care for oneself as well as others. Got the point? Now I crux down this here. Care for oneself is explained in pre-convention level. Now in convention, care for others, and in post convention she is explaining about care for oneself and others, society. Right. Now see here, in the pre-convention level you will be selfish, care for oneself. Now see, in convention level you will ignore yourself and you care for others. Right. Likewise your mother, wife. Right. Now see here, in the post convention level you give equal status to yourself and also the others. Now this is what this Carroll-Gilligan theory is also called as Carroll-Gilligan theory of moral development in women. Now this theory is focused and written in the purview of women. Got the point? Yes. Now let us see the third theory that explains ethical and moral autonomy. Right. Now, which is nothing but your famous HR concept, Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. Right. I'll write down the point here. Right. Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy needs. A famous HR concept in organizational behavior also. Now, what this theory exactly explains. Now, Kohlberg theory was based upon this Maslow's theory of need for hierarchy. Now, Maslow defined that a person's motivation is highly influenced by needs and motivation regulates behavior. Now, this is the crux point, right? Now, see here, this is very important. Once it was asked in an examination also, right? Maslow defined that a person's motivation, I'll write down the complete point here. Person's motivation is highly influenced by needs and motivation regulates behavior. And motivation regulates behavior. Right. Now, this is the crux point of Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy. Now, what this Maslow explains, he explains the human psychology. Right? Needs have a hierarchy, it seems, right? Now, this is the crux point, right? Needs have a hierarchy. Now, I'll explain in a simplified manner, right? This is exactly bookish knowledge. We will give in Asan Bhasha say also, right? Now, see here. He explained that as per human psychology, needs have a hierarchy and which is very difficult to be breached. Now, fulfillment of one need leads to the next level of need, and again fulfillment of that level will lead to the next level. Now see here, I will explain this with a general example. If you are having nothing, means if you are starving, now your first basic need is, in order to have your roti, kapda or makan, right? Having food, having shelter and having neat dress. Now you are sufficed with all these three. Now you will think about the next level, right? The next level you will look about, now these are needs. Then the next level will be desire. You want to have a very good clothes, and you want to have more hygienic food, and you want to have more well spaced home. Am I right or wrong? Now your desire is also meted. Then the next level will be luxury, right? Now till now you have a bike, now you will buy a car or a sports car. Now this is called luxury. Now you move to a spacious bungalow. Now your desire have changed to luxury. Now this is called your Maslow's theory of hierarchy, right? Now see here, I will explain this in a triad manner, right? Now when you take it as a triad, triangle, now the first one level will be your physical needs. The next level, second, will be security needs. And the third level will be what? Your social needs. And the fourth level will be esteem needs, your luxuries, right? And your fifth level will be self-actualization needs. Self-actualization needs. Now, up to 4. Now, these are deficiency needs. Deficiency needs. Now, after 5, it is being need. Now, I'll explain it. Don't worry about this. Done. Now, what is this physical needs? That is nothing but I have explained you the basic needs for your survival, your food, shelter and neat clothes. Now next, security needs, need for your sustaining and maintaining. Now see here, dignified food, I mean hygienic food and dignified life, and also security of your life food. Now next, societal needs. Now see here, you need for association with others, family, friends and your peer group. Esteem needs means needs related to position, your socio-economic spectrum. As I said earlier, buying a bike, a car is nothing but social need in order to show that you have the things, right? Or also see here, social needs is nothing but a recognition in the society. I'll write this as recognition in the society. Now, right? Sorry, your esteem needs are recognition in the society. Already we have discussed about social needs, right? Now, what is self-actualization needs? Upon having all these, now you look upon your actual potential. That's why, see here, filthy rich people will speak that, right? Without money, you will be very happy. This is nothing but your self-actualization, right? Now see here, this shows you the actual potential. Now see here, how a human life is very well explained by Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy. Right? Now you got the things. Fine. Now see here, being need, that is what said. After having all the things, now you come to a conclusion that what you actually need, that is called self-actualization. Now the self-actualization depends upon inner motivation. It doesn't depend on your external motivation factors. You have crossed all the levels of motivation of external factors. Now you feel about your inner motivation. Right? Being need comes by inner motivation. I'll write down the things, right. Inner motivation. Got the thing? Yes. Now, this is the theories that explains you moral autonomy, right? Next, we will go to the concept of values, right? Let us discuss about the values. What are values? Now, values are defined as accepted belief. Now, I'll write down the point there, right? Values are defined as accepted belief. I'll explain this values as an schematic representation, then you can understand it very clearly, right? Now, you have an information, right? Now, this information will be of two types. One is known information and the other one is unknown information. Now, upon this information, you will believe something, right? Upon having this info, right? Now, see here, this belief will happen with the known information. You cannot go by unknown information. Now, if you accept this belief, then that is nothing but your value, right? And values will show you your attitude. Am I right or wrong? Depend upon your values, your attitude depends upon, and attitude shows your behavior. Right. Now we will discuss each and every term in detail. Now focus on this. Now you got the schema perfectly, right? Now see here, values are defined as accepted beliefs. The schema itself is self-explanatory. Now what is attitude? Attitude is defined as state of mind or intention to do anything. Now what is attitude? I'll crux down the important point. Now this attitude is defined as state of mind or intention to do anything. Intention to do anything. Now, what is behavior? What we actually do is nothing but your behavior. So your attitude will represent your behavior. Now, soft attitude is nothing but your behavior, right? Harsh attitude is nothing but your behavior, right? Now, values make the attitude and behavior governed, right? Am I right or wrong? Values make the attitude and behavior to be governed by. Now this is the point that you have to learn here, right? Now see here, your values will make your attitude and behavior to behave or to govern. Now this is the point, right? Now you got clear explanation. To govern yourself or to govern by the society. Now let us discuss in detail regarding this types of value systems, right? The next concept what we will deal is types of value systems. Now, what is this types of value system? Now, already you have discussed about the definition. Any value is being accepted by any individual or organization, right, for having a fruitful interaction with the surrounding. So the common term that you explain is values are accepted for benefit of the society, right? Values are accepted for the benefit of the society. Let us make it in a positive way, right? For benefit of the society. Now, this modern society accepts the values which always benefit to them. Am I right or wrong? That's now ethical society accepts the values which are beneficial for the society. Now there are two types of societies, right? Now one is modern society and one is ethical society. One is modern society and the other one is ethical society. Now this modern society accept the values which are beneficial to them, which are beneficial to oneself. Now this ethical society will accept the values which are beneficial to others, means society, which are beneficial to society. Now this is the difference between ethical society and modern society. Now your ethical society pure example is Indian society. If we are not ethical, this much diversification and these many languages and these many religions cannot be sustained in our society, right? We will continue the next concept in the next video. Thank you.